a bad one going over there.
For us to have a sport to race in, sport's got to grow.
What is going to be powering TQs into the future?
Hi folks, welcome to Edge Parts and Performance Methanol Madness, joined in the studio again by AJ Batt. Good to see you, AJ.
Yeah, hi Craig. Big show tonight too, and how cool we've got Jonathan Allard joining us later.
Yeah, good to see Jonathan all the way back from the United States, and he'll be joining us at Ruapuna on Saturday. Also joining the show, of course, our regular host, Louise Smith. Louise, you had a very busy weekend.
Yeah, we had a massive turnout of quarter midgets for the South Island title out at Ellesmere, so that was really cool to get that kind of underway and see who could take that out.
And a surprise result in the South Island quarter midgets out at Ellesmere, which we'll reveal later on. Well, we're on the countdown to Carnival Fireworks Night, just 2 days to go. We're watching that weather too, by the way, but lots to look out for this week. And to get the show started, we'll start with Crash of the Week. AJ, tell us what you can see.
Well, the midget cars have got off to a really good start here, and sort of close encounters of the dirt kind. You see Jack Lowe, and they're just sliding across the front of Glen Jury. Well, we've got Neville Basilay and Tom Lumsden, and there goes Jack Lowe up and over, and the City South Fan Spares car turning on a real performance for the crowd.
Yeah, that was a real violent one actually. The car just hit a wee rut there, and it just bit enough. It had a lot of right rear drive, and he must have tipped that up 3 or 4 times, barrel rolling into the straight. As we say, it's always spectacular to watch, but you never want to be repairing those cars. So we just get a last wee moment there, and Jack Lowe putting a wee show on for the crowd. So no racing at Ruapuna Speedway, but of course we are reviewing all the sprint car action around the country with our big title happening here on the 4th and 5th of February. And the first meeting we'll look at is Kiki, and the sprinters are up there. We actually had our very own Matthew Leversedge. You can see the blue car there in the mid-pack, and he started off in 7th and made his way all the way to 3rd, AJ, but it was a very dusty, slick track there.
Yeah, look, up there in Kiki it does tend to be a little bit warm and humid as well, so Matthew, very, very good exponent at running the bottom line of the racetrack, and it's almost as though he knows he's just got to pick off X number of cars every lap, and he certainly is getting in there, mixing it up, and you just see here he's having a good old battle there, and Holly Williams has gone round, Matthew with nowhere to run and straight into her.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Matthew Leversedge there. His car just sustaining a small bit of damage there as he collided with Holly Williams, but that track was very slick indeed. Notable, Holly Williams was driving superbly. Nobody could get past her on that dry, slick track, and I hope to see her down here in the title, AJ. Haven't seen her entry yet, but she's a real crowd favourite.
Yeah, she is. She's one of those drivers up there that she really knows how to turn up the wick.
And just to confirm that, 13.8 was the fastest lap time, and that was by Holly Williams, so congratulations to her. The next race we'll look at is race 2 of the sprinters, and Matthew Leversedge started on 4 there, and he made his way through the pack again, driving that nice tight line, and he came across Dean Brindle, rode a wheel, which we'll just see here, and that just put him out of the race with Max Guilford just colliding with him. And the eventual winner of that race was Dean Cooper, and Dean Cooper's really starting to improve, AJ. He's one of the better performers up in the North Island at the moment.
Yeah, he's a real excitement machine. Came out of mini sprint racing, and he was destined to be in our Gold Cup last year and caught COVID in Wellington before he was about to get onto the Inter-Island ferry. They will be here at the Nationals with bells on.
Yeah, I hope to see Dean for the first time at Ruapuna. Second in that race was Dean Brindle and Keaton Darm, who's another heavyweight sprint car driver. We hope that Keaton comes down for the title as well. So it was a feature race we move on to, and Matthew started in 10th. And again, he showed exceptional talent in throttle control. He actually made his way all the way up to 5th. And the track we can see there is very slick. A bit of dust being thrown up there for the big crowd that were attending for the fireworks. And the real feature of this race here, just in this last lap, Dean Cooper putting an outside pass on Dean Brindle with 1 lap to go, which is incredibly difficult to do on a slick track. And he managed to get that momentum and get himself in front to win that feature race. Okay, so Dean Cooper putting his hand up as a contender for the New Zealand Sprint Car title. He's a good racer, AJ.
Oh, he is. You know, one of the young bucks, one of the new brigade, you could say, of sprint car racing in New Zealand, and he's a hell of an exciting prospect.
Okay, folks, the next meeting we're going to review is from Waikaraka Park, but it was the Western Springs Speedway running there. They had a concert happening at their track. Okay, the race we are going to look at is the second heat at Waikaraka Park, and we can see Jack Lowe just on the inside now. He started on 4, poked the nose up in the front, and it was him and Aaron Hodgson that sort of broke away from the field. But we can see just in the back there the 54A of Michael Pickens making plenty of passes, and we would expect that, AJ. And he was hunting down Jack Lowe, and Jack had to sustain a attack by Michael for several laps.
Yeah, well, Jack certainly gave Pickens a bone to chew on, didn't he? And Pickens, he threw everything at it, but Jack is not going to be intimidated by anyone. This kid's from very tough stock, and they will know that it's game time when Jack Lowe's behind the wheel of that C-Mount number 4. Yeah,
I thought it was a great performance by Jack. He really sorted himself out psychologically to be able to hang on with the very fast Michael Pickens behind him. So I think he'll take a lot of pleasure out of that heat win, or second place it was, and I know that he will be getting a lot more confidence as he drives more laps up in Auckland. And Louise, what's your thoughts of Jack Lowe's progress at the moment?
I think that Jack's honestly making great progress. The more laps he gets, the better. He obviously had an unfortunate run at Bay Park the other week, but he's bounced back quickly from it. But I think we'll see the real progress when he returns to the South Island and competes against the rest down here.
Well, look, there was another wee highlight here. We might just play this. It was Aaron Hodgson sticking it to Michael Pickens, and this was an interesting moment. We can see here that Michael Pickens jumps out to an early lead, and the 35C Carter's car, you can just see, did a wee slide job, got past, and he's going to put a move on. Here it is, he's into second now, but watch how quick this car is coming down the straight. Now, Michael did go out a little bit wide, and here's the moment for Aaron Hodgson. Do you stick it up the inside to Michael Pickens? Well, he did it. And if we look slowly here, that is a big moment for a midget car driver. There is a fair bit of intimidation that goes on with these cars, these drivers I should say, and he didn't back off. So Aaron Hodgson, congratulations. He went on to win the race and he won the feature, so a really good performance by that Carter's car.
Yeah, Hodgson, one of the young guys, really worth watching.
Well, look, it was very busy out at Ellesmere in the weekend. We had several of our classes out there, but the first story we might look at is the South Island CTRA Quarter Midget Championship. 22 junior drivers and their cars took to the track at Ellesmere Speedway on Sunday, and the racing was fast on a well-prepared track. In fact, the quarter midgets were lapping faster than the mini stocks and the C-grade productions. Malachi Webb was dominant in his heat win. Jack Brownlee's won his heat despite having a minor engine issue, and the Nelson flyer Lockie Martin won his heat, setting up for an exciting championship feature race. So with all the heat races done, it come down to a 6-lap final to see who would be the CTRA South Island Quarter Midget champion. Starting on grid 1 was Nelson's best hope of winning, Lockie Martin. Beside him was the consistent Malachi Webb, and in grid 3 was the current Canterbury champion, Jack Brownlee's.
Malachi Webb, who's got the early lead over young Jacob Brownlee's. Lockie Martin from Nelson holding that third position.
When the flag dropped, it was Malachi Webb who got off to a great start and looked like he had it in the bag until Romeo Warren Webb got it all wrong, forcing a restart.
Oh, there's a big one over there. I think that's Romeo Warren Webb got it all wrong there, and he's flipped himself over. He's landed back up on his wheels. But certainly did a couple of flips in the air, did young Romeo.
All eyes were on Brownlees and Webb, both knowing if they got the start, the trophy could be theirs. With all the pressure on Webb, he didn't falter and won the race and championship convincingly. The race was good reward for the Belfast flyer and opens up a new rivalry between two good racers, Jack Brownlees and Malachi Webb.
Yeah, I just needed to get that jump, otherwise I might have been a little bit far behind to catch up again, but yeah, good start, and yeah. I was just hoping a yellow light came on, which it did, but then I mucked up the start. Racing.
Yeah, great day out at Hazard County in the weekend. And Louise, what was your take on the whole championship?
I thought it was a fantastic meeting, actually. We had a lot of cars, so there was a lot of potential for things to go wrong, but luckily with splitting them into groups, everyone kind of found their own groove, and we saw a lot of winners that were kind of unexpected in a way, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was great to see Lockie Martin, very understated when we spoke to him, and very excited when he wins the races. He's a bit of a flyer, actually. That car is bouncing around the track everywhere, and good to see him emerge as one of the top picks for the quarter midget races. And that rivalry, AJ, that's Malachi Webb and Jack Brownlees. Jack Brownlees really needs somebody to compete against, and it looks like Malachi Webb's stepping up.
Yeah, Malachi sort of really started hitting real good form at the end of last season, and he's carried it on. You're dead right. Brownlees need someone like that to be right up there, giving him a really torrid battle.
The other class from Ruapuna that was racing at Ellesmere was the TQs, and Jamie Booth. Jamie, who had an injury a couple of years ago, returned to Speedway racing this year, and good to see Jamie winning the race. But prior to that, we had Ben Morgan absolutely flying until this little moment, and it doesn't look too good there, AJ.
Nah, stick a fork in it, that one's cooked, isn't it?
Well, Ben did actually race it for a few laps. It did have a lot of power, and most of us thought it was just an overfilling issue with the oil, but Ben did mention to us later on that it actually didn't sound too good, and that looks like a new motor is up for grabs. So we can just see Jamie Booth here. Good to see Jamie really powering that car around, and he took out the feature race at Ellesmere, followed closely behind by Tyler Warnock and Cameron Soul. Got a third place there. Good to see Cameron Soul racing well at Ellesmere. And the other Ruapuna class to race at Ellesmere was the modified sprints. It looked like a field of 8 competitors there, and it was Coxie racing that 2017 GSXR 1000cc around the Ellesmere circuit and giving it death as usual. And good to see Coxie taking out his second feature race. Second was Liam Astle. A good moment there for Liam Astle, AJ. He got past Brett Booth. If we have a look at the footage there, put a nice outside pass on him.
Yeah, good confidence booster for young Liam. He had a lot of expectation after the practices, but it's game on now.
And another section we're covering here at Methanol Madness is international drivers abroad, and Michael Pickens has made his journey across to the States, competing in some of the biggest midget car races. Louise, you're looking into this. How's Michael going at this stage?
So Michael Pickens has already kicked off his USAC Western Swing Tour with the midgets over there, so he's already off to a fantastic start with second in the feature yesterday, holding off Buddy Kofoid, which was a fantastic result to start off the week.
Well, that's impressive. I think Thomas Meserole took that feature out, and our very own Michael Pickens beating Buddy Kofoid home. We just know how good Buddy Kofoid is. Talking about international drivers, AJ, we've got Jonathan Allard joining us in the studio, and we're going to ask him a few questions. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, talking about international drivers, you've just come back from the States, and you've completed a number of races. Can you tell our fans what you've been up to, and if you had any success over there?
Yeah, we went back, and finally with COVID over, we were able to get back to what my normal schedule is. A little bit of racing in the States, a little bit of racing in New Zealand. I was able to get back with a team I used to prior race with quite a bit for many seasons, and with the ability to get back in the Zero car, the Williams Motorsports car, and we have a lot of history in that car, and there's definitely a lot of time to be able to race with them has been great, and we had some success. We had to get our feet back on the ground and try to figure out what the car needed, and with different issues that the tires have created with the new construction of the tire, the Outlaw tire they call it. We had some struggles, but we also learned a lot. So it was a good time, and we did capture the Maury Williams race, which was something that I hadn't competed in yet, as the owner of the team had passed away a few years ago. It's a big race in Hanford, and they have quite a few cars, and there's a lot of people there. So it was good to get that win, and another KWS win for me, NARC win. So that puts us up on the list of a lot of wins for NARC, and it's quite an accomplishment for that team and for myself especially.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff, mate. You've been an outstanding sprint car driver here in New Zealand for a long time, but you have a big history before that going back to America, which AJ might ask you some questions about shortly. But what we should announce to our viewers is that Jonathan Allard is joining us at Ruapuna Speedway this weekend for the Sprint Car Summer Slam. And of course, that's sponsored by Dalton's, and he is a Dalton's driver, so we hope that he goes well. But AJ, he's such a good driver, and he's a great talent here at Ruapuna.
Yeah, he is, and one of the things that I really, really like about Jonathan, he's got the ambassador sort of streak about him as well. And to run good up in Northern California when Jonathan was a young guy up against the Brent Kadings of this world and those sorts of fellas, they play for keeps. And the scene in the earlier years was really, really tough. And, it went through a little bit of a lull where the 410s sort of dropped back a little and everyone went 360 racing. But, Jonathan, one of the biggest memories for me of your racing up there was that 2014 Gold Cup win at Chico. But would you say that was your biggest career win? You're up against the Outlaws.
Well, it's definitely being at my home track, hometown, born and raised in Chico. So the Gold Cup was always an event that was special to me. It was very prestigious, and to be able to race at my hometown track with all the Outlaw guys and beat them there. We've always been very competitive with the Outlaws, and we've always had a good run with them. But we finally captured the Gold Cup, and that is a feather in the cap for me. And it's something that probably should have been accomplished a couple times prior to that. We were, coming up to the last lap leading the thing, but it never happened. So to get that finally was probably the biggest win of my career.
Yeah, what actually got you started in racing up there? Like, everyone is motorsport mad around that Chico area. You've got a lot of kart racing and so on, and the Speedway itself is such a hub of the community.
Well, what got us started was the go-karts are really big there, what we call the outlaw karts, and they have, from Briggs & Stratton motors all the way up to the 500cc motors, and they're winged outlaw karts, and they're very quick. They race on a track that's very similar to Chico. So you're born and raised on a racetrack, and you get a lot of laps, and you soon can see how many guys are coming out of the go-kart ranks that are just straight into a sprint car and straight up front. You've got so many guys, it's hard to list them all. I mean, everybody that's famous these days and run up front in every series, they came from the outlaw karts. And I was one of the early ventures. Unfortunately, it shows my age a bit, but that's part of it, and it was good to keep us out of trouble in school, and that just developed into being able to get into a sprint car in my hometown, which I've had a lot of support over the years. And then with Chico being such a hotbed, you've got a lot of competition. So when you're raised in that environment and you're racing, like you said, guys like Brent Kading, Paul McMahon, I mean, the list goes on, Ronnie Day, there's so many. Jimmy Sills. I mean, there's so many guys that come from Northern California, and I think part of the reason is Chico. You get a lot of good racing there, and it's really fast and tight. And it shows now if you look on to what guys are doing these days and running up front with the Outlaws or the USAC or wherever they go. It's from those go-karts.
What's your tie-up that you've got with Roger Gleason, one of the all-time greats of speedway racing down here from Christchurch?
Well, as a youngster racing in California, I raced against guys like Brian Bullard, and he was really close with Roger. So I got to know Roger through that avenue, and being around Roger, he really we hit it off straight away, and Roger as well as I do that he's very passionate about racing, and he loves guys that are really into their racing, and that's what I was. We didn't have a lot of money. We had to put everything out on the table to be able to do it, and I think Roger liked that. He understood all the countless hours that we put in as a family to try to stay up front and be up front, and to have that connection here and know that Roger's from Christchurch and going down there and competing and being up front is special to me because I get to go back and talk to Roger about it. So it's really special.
Yeah, I'll just pick up there, Jonathan, and you're exactly right about Roger Gleason. He's one of the absolute legends here in Christchurch and very well known in the speedway scenes. A couple of modern day questions for you though, but Joel Myers Jr., have you come across Joel, and do you know anything about him? And I'm pretty sure you realise he's going to be racing here over the summer.
Well, again, another Outlaw Kart standout. These kids are coming hot and heavy, and usually nowadays they definitely have youth on their side. I think the cars are built a lot better. I think that some of the stuff that we raced early on needed a lot of work. The cars that they're getting into are ready to win races, and Joel is one of those kids that's going to win races. He's definitely got the speed. A side note to that, when Joel was just a bit younger, so I don't know, a couple years ago, he had come over and helped me scrape some mud and did a lot of talking with me, and so we have quite a close relationship as well. And he's a good kid. He looks all of 13, 14, but he runs like he's a master. So definitely looks like behind the wheel, he looks like a veteran, and he's very capable of putting on a great show. And I think it's going to be so neat for him to be able to go down and experience it. We've been talking about it quite a bit, and he's been leaning on me for some notes and tips, and I don't want to tell him too much, because every time I open my mouth, I end up helping somebody that I have to beat. And we can look back at Duffs and some of the guys like that, and Connor Rangy and all these kids that are so fast. I need to try to keep my secrets close.
Well, I did want to talk to you about that. You really are the elder statesman of sprint car racing. That's not really being too derogatory. It's more a reflection of what you actually do for the sport. And we've all noticed this, is the amount of information you do pass on to the likes of Jamie Duff, Connor Rangies, even Caleb Bourne recently. I think you're trying to help him out. And tell me, what is your philosophy on sprint car racing? Why do you do that, firstly? And from my point of view, I think it's very admirable, because there's very few drivers that generally do that.
Well, for us to have a sport to race in, the sport's got to grow. I mean, you look at the competition that's out there for any number of things. It's really hard to keep a sport alive these days, because there's just so much to do, and the video games are big, and the simulators. So anybody that comes out and puts a lot of effort into their racing, I'm willing to help. I had a lot of help when I grew up from guys like Brent Kading, Jimmy Sills, Ronnie Day. These guys really took a liking to us as a family, and they've really put me in place. I've had Danny Lasowski, I've had Steve Kins, I've had these guys really embrace what we do and pass some information along to me. And I always told myself, after getting that help, that I would do the same. And they may not choose to listen to it. I probably wouldn't at some point, but it's just one of those things that I feel that I'm obligated as much to them as the sport, because it's given me so much, and I would like to return something to the sport that's given me, what I have now. And so I try to pass on good information. I try to talk to them about what they're feeling, what they're doing, especially, having Kiwi guys go over to the States, or we've had a lot of people come through, and I've been able to help quite a few guys, and it's really neat to see them go and win races. When Kyle Larson was young, we did a lot of help with him and Buddy, like all these guys. I race against them, but I want them to be as fast as they can be, and it always makes a good show. And the biggest reason for this is the fans. I want the fans to see a great show. I want them to enjoy spending their hard-earned money to watch us put on a show, and that's what it's really all about. We can all talk about records and wins and stuff, but if there's nobody in the stands, we're not going to have a sport. So that's what I'm working for.
I agree, and you've always been a showman down at Ruapuna Speedway. Certainly some fantastic memories of you winning Gold Cups, War of the Wings finals, and a number of other things. Talking about some of those drivers you've helped, we didn't mention Michael Pickens, probably one of your biggest nemesis now, and he's certainly going to be one of the favourites for the New Zealand Sprint Car title. AJ, an interesting character, Jonathan Allard. We love having him down at Ruapuna. What are you looking forward to the most with all the sprint car racing coming up with Jonathan?
I think really what Jonathan does is he raises the bar, that the standard of the local racing, it just increases when we get someone like Jonathan coming onto the track. And it's a matter of get into the slipstream, learn what you can, see where a guy like that runs. One of the very, very best, certainly a Hall of Famer as far as Northern California is concerned. Like, he is God up there. And, it just raises the bar, and he probably makes it a little bit tougher for himself in the future, but you can just see from those words that, Jonathan has a vested interest in this game, and his vested interest is improving it, and he's leaving a legacy.
Absolutely. And Jonathan, if you're still there, at the risk of giving away your secrets, how does somebody go about winning a championship? How does that differ from a regular race night, and what sort of pressures get introduced on title night?
Well, the championship game is quite a bit different. You got to have a lot of preparation in the off season to make sure you have no loss of points due to unnecessarily parts failures or bad workmanship. So it takes a different mindset. You got to be prepared. The biggest thing is on race night, all the work you do prior in the shop is what sets you up for good nights, night after night, and that's what it takes is preparation. I mean, you can see when something fails, you get 0 points. So really, at the end of the day, it's about the car finishing. There are guys that run really hard and win championships, and then there's the guys that just collect points. And I've never been a collector of points, but we always run hard as we can. But you want to minimize all the mistakes and all the parts failures and all the things that can happen. Plus, as a driver, you tend to look for the guaranteed spots that you can get as a championship. And try to race as hard as you can and not think about the championship as much as possible, even though that's what you're going for. You want to race like it's normal. So that way you don't change your driving style and then you get confused and revert back, and it just causes a lot of complication to start mapping points out in your head. So you just race free and do the best you can. And if it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be.
Well, there you go for all our sprint car drivers competing this year. A bit of free advice from Jonathan Allard, and certainly good to get his input. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. We'll catch up with you at Ruapuna this weekend, whether if it's on our side, hopefully, and otherwise we'll be catching up with you at the New Zealand Sprint Car title. What a great guy to have on the show.
Oh, absolutely. As I said before, they talk about Jonathan up in Northern California, where I've been a lot of times. He's a god up there. He's up there with Brent Kading and Jimmy Sills, and Chico. You just cannot overstate how tough that place is to win at and to be one of the front runners. And it's a track that I personally love. And now you start learning the other Jonathan Allard. We see the guy that gets the elbows up and muscles his way around a racetrack and goes so fast and so clean. And now we sort of hear the other part of the story, don't we? That what he's doing to make sure that the people turn up and watch, and that there are fans, and then the game keeps going.
The team at Edge Parts and Performance have got safety covered. They're proud stockists of Simpson safety products: helmets, head and neck restraints, harnesses, racing suits, gloves, shoes and more. Simpson safety products provide an unparalleled level of comfort, performance and protection. Come and check out their new range of Simpson suits, lightweight 2-layer SFI approved suits that offers flexibility and functionality all in one. They've also got the Red Devil carbon fibre lightweight racing helmet in stock. Carnival rides are booked and the fireworks are ready for Ruapuna Speedway's Carnival Fireworks Night, brought to you by Concut. This is a fantastic night for the family with plenty of racing action and entertainment around the track. You can expect lolly scrambles, circus performers, carnival rides and a stunning fireworks show later in the evening. The Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Ruapuna Speedway Carnival Fireworks Night. Don't miss out on this one. The gates open at 4:30 and the dirt starts flying at 6.
Okay, folks, it's giveaway time. We're always giving something away here at Methanol Madness, and this is the coffee book donated by Joe Johnson from Motorsport Files. Louise, how did it all play out?
We had a lot of people that knew the answer to this question that we asked on last week's show. So the question was, of course, what year did Jamie Duff win the New Zealand Sprint Car title? Our answer was 2015, of course, at Palmerston North Speedway, and the winner is a very familiar name, Isabel Clark.
Isabel Clark, yes, I think that might be the quarter midget racer from Ruapuna, and I know she'll really appreciate that book. Well, look, time to announce our Melrose Motorsport Challenge competitors. We might just see who we've got here, Louise.
So lining up for this weekend's Melrose Motorsport Kart Challenge, we have Lockie Moore, Cole Kirk and Lucas Davies. So I have to make sure that they get to the track nice and early so they don't miss their opportunity to compete in this.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the Melrose Motorsport Challenge is, it's 3 young kids get a chance to drive that Melrose kart around a challenge course, 2 or possibly 3 laps, and if you do that in the best time, you will advance yourself to the final, which happens on the last meeting of the year, and if you win that one, you keep the kart. Okay, folks, time to move on to Batman's Soapbox, the place where we talk about anything that might be controversial. AJ, what are we covering this week?
Well, tonight we're going to talk about TQs. And TQs are a class that I've had a long association with. I started out as a pusher in about 1976 or so out there at Templeton. But there is a feeling that what has always been perceived as a budget class is very, very rapidly falling outside of the realms of being suitable for that young family guy. And so some of the things that are starting to happen, you know, they're towing their cars around in these $10,000 trailers. They're starting to bolt on carbon fibre. Carbon fibre's got me because it's a huge expense to gain what? Yeah, you may drop a couple of kg, but you know, it's monkey see, monkey do. Everyone all of a sudden decides I've got to have carbon fibre. I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of self-gratification or feeling good about things. But this young driver that I talked to recently said, I really can't afford to be doing this any longer. When I told him, sell the $10,000 trailer and put it on an open trailer and, you know, just don't go bolting on the carbon fibre stuff, go racing. You're going to find that you're going to enjoy it a whole bunch more. Probably a greater concern is the fact that the GSX Suzuki engines are getting close to 20 years old, and I think it's time that the TQ fraternity actually put a big effort in finding out what is going to be powering TQs into the future, while these GSXRs are very quickly running out of supply.
I think you're right about the motor issue for the TQs. It is a looming problem and something that needs to be addressed in the next few years. The modified Sprints have a rule which is they can use any motorcycle engine as long as it's not 5 years or younger. Okay, time to move on to final thoughts, and of course we have got Carnival Fireworks Night this week. A little cloud over the weather, but keep an eye on the website and the Facebook page for that. We might have to give some updates there, but if it does go ahead, AJ, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great day out.
Well, it is a great day out. It's the night that fun comes to the Speedway. You know, it brings a lot of people. It's their first time at the Speedway and so on. You look at the fields, you know, we've got a good solid midget class. The TQs are there in numbers. Every class is here. The addition of Jonathan Allard, put him up against Connor Rangi, Jamie Duff and so on. She's going to be a big show.
Yeah, Louise, we often find our drivers drive quicker, faster and harder on Carnival Fireworks Night. It has something to do with the massive crowd that generally arrives. What is it for you that you're looking forward to?
I love the crowd atmosphere of Carnival Night. It really is something special and it's so unmatched to any other meeting that we have. But whilst the TQ numbers are really high, I'm actually looking forward to seeing some really good sprint car racing.
Yes, what else could we ask for? Sprint cars, Carnival Fireworks Night and hard and fast racing. So look, folks, that's the end of the show. And until next time, keep your foot up it.